Good morning. I would like to call our July 20th Finance Committee meeting to order. I'd like to thank, first of all, the Tennessee Titans and Nissan Stadium for hosting us this morning. Today we have a public comment period pursuit of the Tennessee Open Meetings Act, Tennessee Code Section 8-44-101. The Sports Authority public comment policy invites up to 10 guests who have signed up previously within the 48-hour period, advanced period, to speak no more than 2 minutes in support or opposition of any agenda item the board will be voting on. We had a number of guests sign up for the comment agenda regarding Fairground Speedway documents. As you know, late yesterday afternoon, Bristol Myers Speedway requested that the authority defer on this agenda, and item will be taken up on our next meeting. Staff reached out to those who signed up for the public comment, and we appreciate your active engagement in this process. We do have one guest, however, who requested to speak in support of the stadium bond resolution, so I'll ask Angela Crane-Jones to come up and at this time, and you have 2 minutes, please. Is Angela? Okay. Well, thank you anyway. Maybe she had some problem getting through traffic. We got a lot of construction or something going on here in Davidson County. Road closures and detours all over the place. But perhaps if she comes in before this meeting is over with. Yes.
She may also come and give comment before the full board meeting. She signed up for both.
Very
so
good.
Maybe we'll hear from her.
Okay, then that'll work out fine. Thank you, Monica. Are there any other changes to the agenda?
No other changes.
Okay. If that's being the case, we'll consider the third item on the agenda this morning, which is consideration or approval of the minutes of the June 15th meeting. You have the minutes of the last meeting before you. Are there any questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a motion that we approve those. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Next on the agenda, consideration of approval of the resolution authorizing and approving salary updates for FY24. That will be found in tab 3. Our executive director will walk us through this, Monica.
So as you know, in June, the Metro Council approved the FY24 budget, which included pay plan improvements for general Metro employees. There was a 6% cost of living adjustment and then a 3% merit increase that most Metro employees are eligible for. As you know, our finance team, Melissa Wells and Bob Lackey, who are here, they're not paid from Metro's general fund, but with Sports Authority allocations from Bridgestone Arena. This means that they do not receive their increases from Metro, but it's going to be contingent on your approval. And obviously, I'm incredibly proud of my team, and they really do a great job. We've got a lot going on with a few hands. And so my request today is that you would mirror the 6% cost of living adjustment and 3% merit increase for them. The resolution is behind tab 3. And on the next page, which says Arena Account and Arena Revenue Fund, if you look at that, there's a small box to the right, and you'll see the proposed pay plan with their current salary. And for Bob Lackey, since he's a Metro retiree and pensioner, he's limited his income is limited. So you'll see his current hourly rate, and then what his proposed rate would be with the 6% COLA and 3% merit. If you look to the left of the page, and you'll see the arena account, and the last column in that box under FY24, you'll see what the allocation is. That's the revenue we expect to receive as a department, the Sports Authority allocation, the 243,101. And then you'll see under staff salaries, that is Melissa's salary. Okay, so what the goal is to say there's money, there's funding for this increase. And then if you go down to the bottom of the page, you'll see the Arena Revenue Fund, and that is where Bob's salary comes from. And so there is money there. The only encumbrance against that amount is the $80,000 that the board has approved for project management expenses related to the stadium, and those will be reimbursed once we issue the bonds. Are there any questions?
Thank you. No questions for Monica? Yes.
Is this exactly the same as you said as Metro's? It just didn't fall under there.
That's correct. We're asking for the same amount that Metro allocated for its employees, but because Melissa and Bob are paid from a different fund, it requires your approval.
So had they been Metro employees, they would have received it.
Correct.
Any other questions for Monica? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution authorizing and approving the salary updates for FY24. Is there a move to approve? Second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, next on the agenda would have been the fairground proposal, which has been deferred. So we'll move on to the next item, which is consideration or approval of the resolution approving the stadium project budget for the new enclosed NFL stadium. Monica, can you walk us through this one, please?
I'm sorry. Oh, come on up. No, come on up. So I just wanted to let you know that Kellen, project executive for the Titans, and Shannon Myers, Titans CFO, are here to walk the board through the stadium project budget. This is a condition for issuing the bonds. The authority's approval of the budget is a condition for issuing the bonds. So they have a presentation. They've updated it. So if you look in your binder behind tab 5, you're going to see a document, and you need to instead refer to the one that was placed on top of your binder, if that makes sense. The numbers are the same. It just has more detail. All right. Go ahead.
There we go. Thank you. Thanks for that introduction, Monica. The only change that we made, we've already presented this project budget to members of the representatives from the Sports Authority, and through that transparent conversation realized that a little bit more detail in the notes would be helpful for you all. So no numbers changed from what was previously provided, but we did add a little bit more additional color. This project budget, as Monica said, was just being presented to the board for formal board approval. I'll highlight a couple items, but then open it up for any questions. Big picture, our total project budget is consistent with where we thought we would be. So we feel very confident in that. We've been testing the market, looking at other NFL stadiums, other professional stadiums, other construction in Nashville, and feel confident that we're still in the same spot that we thought we would be. So that's a great outcome for us where we're at right now. And also just want to remind the board that the Titans are on the hook for 100% of cost overruns. So this is the approved budget to make sure everybody is aware of where we believe we will be. If we have any cost overruns, that is 100% the responsibility of the Titans. So Just wanted to, on the left, we've provided some summary categories of how we're tracking the spend. On the right, we added a little bit more notes. And just really are here to answer any questions of anything that the board wanted to address. So.
Could you walk them through the categories? I think that might be better than just asking for questions, but if you could just kind of walk through the different areas and the notes, that would be helpful.
I will probably lean to Kellen. Kellen's the master budget.
Sure, happy to do this. And this is kind of a traditional budget arrangement and setup for projects of this nature. Most people will say hard and soft costs that are to build up the staffing and the design, and then the actual hard costs being the construction dollars. So we have these summary categories, as Shannon said. These are informed numbers based on estimating and the design work that we've done. So just to talk through this a little bit, the startup expenses, things that you'll see in here are economic study costs, market analysis, and financial advisory work that has been performed or will be performed. Land acquisition and site development costs being the next number here. The majority of this is made up with a public art line item that is part of Metro's requirement to have public art. So we'll work through that as we move along the design and incorporating artwork through the site and in the building. So, and then also some of that also includes some work for permits with utilities and street closures. The next item is a bigger number here, which is obviously related to a lot of the work that we've already undertaken and will continue to work on, is the design. So you'll see this is the majority of all of the design fees involved, from the Manica design that we started with and TVS moving forward as our architect of record. The next one is self-explanatory, is just legal and governmental services, just general legal counsel from transactions and reviewing agreements. The next one will be project administration, which is mainly made up of project management, which will include the likes of CA Icon, Don Harden Group, and then also a forthcoming Sports Authority Board representative for construction and design will be included in there. And then obviously the big number here that you'll see next is the construction at $1.6 billion. This is the stadium hard construction costs, and what we'll be striving for and moving forward for a guaranteed maximum price with a forthcoming construction manager that we are currently underway with an RFP process on. There's also some dollars in here as well for the demolition of this stadium, the Nissan Stadium demolition, which will take place after the new stadium is completed. And then the next item is systems and equipment, which is generally consisting of anything and everything that the contractor will not bolt down and install as part of their construction project. This would be everything from furniture to golf carts to everything that the Titans will need, broadcast cameras, etc. And then permits, testing, and fees. This is mainly made up of, we'll have a third-party materials testing and inspection company brought on board to help validate that the construction is being put in place per our specifications and requirements, and then also some costs for working with building codes and permit fees for the building permit. And then lastly is the insurance and financing costs. This is a portion of this is made up of our builder's risk policy, our owner's controlled insurance policy, and then the other makeup of this is also the bond repayment for Nissan Stadium, and then also the capital, the CapEx contribution from the Titans. And then lastly is below the line here is kind of viewed outside of the stadium project, but related to stadium infrastructure is all of the work related to relocating utilities out of the future footprint, and then also bringing new utilities to the stadium, which is the $100 million that you see here.
Other than the construction and the RFP process that you're doing now currently, do you have partners with all these subcategories?
A portion of them have been awarded, and we actually have a presentation on that in our next meeting here to review some of the project team. But there are still awards and RFPs to let all of the other work that hasn't been awarded.
Thank you. Any other questions for Shannon or Kellen or Jeff?
I have a
Oldham?
general question. And I just want to know, can you tell us a little bit about the public art commitment and how that works for Metro? And I just haven't seen it before, so I'm interested in just knowing how, and maybe what portion of that number goes towards that public art.
The number committed for that in this line item is $7.5 million. I think it's an ongoing process, and I think I'd defer to some others here with Metro that have also done this. I know on the soccer stadium, we actually had some funding that was contributed outside of the project for public art, but I think it's a evolving discussion on what that would involve.
Is it local artists or is it?
I think ultimately we'd love to be local artists, but maybe there's someone here.
You're doing inquiry minds, just want to know. I was just curious.
Oh, I did something bad. It's flashing green. Sorry. Okay, thanks. So anytime we issue any debt, whether it's for GO bonds, the soccer stadium, we always have a 1% of the par amount commitment to the arts, and it's administered through the Arts Commission. Typically, it's local artists, but it could be any form or fashion. I think historically they've gone out and solicited different ideas. It doesn't necessarily have to be a painting. It can be structures. It's usually many things. So that will all be forthcoming. I think once the design of the building is complete, that would be probably the appropriate time.
We did go through this with, it wasn't the 1% from the bonds at Geodis Park, but from the infrastructure project and the improvements to the Fair Boards Expo buildings. And so there, to Kelly's point, benches and some other things outside of maybe what you would just think of as traditional art that have been installed.
Thank you.
Mr. Atkins, do you have a question?
I do, thank you. On startup expenses, I think there's reference it has been or all will be performed. What kind of general percentage of that number have you already hit in expenses? Or is that with the economic study, market analysis, financial? I assume most of that's been done.
I'd say about half of that has been spent to date with work that the Titans have conducted with economic studies and market analysis. That's been the majority of what's taken place. So it's about half of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You made a comment about a discussion in the next meeting regarding team makeup in that process and who's involved. So this list will be discussed.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you both very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, if there are no other questions or comments, we'll entertain the motion to approve the stadium project budget.
So moved.
Second.
Is that okay? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? No. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we'll consider approval of a resolution authorizing issuance of not to exceed $760 million in aggregate principal amount of stadium project revenue bonds of the Sports Authority of the Metropolitan Government in Nashville and Davidson County. Jeff Oldham is here to walk us through this, and Lillian Blackshear as well.
And our finance director is back.
Good morning. You may go ahead.
Morning, how are you? Sorry. I don't have much of an update other than to say we are doing what we committed to do, and so it's going really well. I only have really just one slide to share today. As the Titans team, Shannon and Kellen just reminded everyone, we have a $760 million commitment to this project, and to achieve that requirement, the plan of financing contemplates issuing $707 million of bonds across 4 different series. The Series A and B bonds will be secured by the new 1% hotel tax, which began being collected this July 1st, as well as the stadium sales tax revenue and the water and sewer pilot through the opening of the new stadium. The Series C and D bonds are secured by the ticket tax revenues and the stadium lease payments, and any available Series A and B pledge revenues after the payment of the A and B bonds. And the C and D bonds are what we would kind of refer to, we called colloquially the backstop bonds, and so that is the C and D portion. Last time I was here, we talked about ratings. I told you that I really like vowels. I'm thrilled to report we got vowels. We did a really nice article in the Business Journal today. I don't know if you saw it. I'm highlighting the ratings. But we secured ratings on all 4 series from Moody's, S&P, and Kroll. Each agency evaluated and stress tested the proposed financing structure through their respective rating methodologies.
Excuse me, Kelly. I just wanted to know, where can we find that document? We had
This is
information.
Right in
Tab-
front of full board.
Yeah, tab 7.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
It's towards the back, maybe the last page before the 8th tab.
You can have mine. So as part of the stadium bond rating process, I'm thrilled to report that S&P also took a look at Metro's general obligation bond rating and determined that the work that council and the mayor has done the last 4 years in creating sustainable financial management policies warranted an upgrade for the first time in over 4 decades. So as part of this, we got that gift as well. So thanks for bringing that to their attention. And even though we're well rated, we're also contemplating the use of insurance, utilizing municipal bond insurance on a portion of the transaction. And bond insurance gives investors 3 important benefits. It gives additional security for the payment of the bonds, a higher rating than the underlying ratings, and it gives market homogeneity for other insured issues within their bond portfolio. And what insurance does is it guarantees the payment of interest and principal that we're obligated to pay, and the insurer makes the promise to pay if something were to go wrong. And we will only use insurance on those maturities where the economics make sense to the transaction. So we're not going to get it just to get it. If it doesn't, it's no cost benefit, we won't do it. And I'm thrilled to report it. Hopefully you remember last time we were here, not last time, several times ago, Representative Jeff Scruggs from Goldman Sachs was here. He's the lead underwriter. And with the support of Monica and her team, director, and her team, we put out an RFP to build out the entire underwriting team. We at Metro and all of our kind of conduit agencies maintain a pool of qualified underwriters. But for the specificity of this transaction, we took that pool and even further refined it and did an RFP to get an underwriting team together that's not just based on the expertise of, financing and capacity and stadium knowledge, but also a team that's diverse and represents Nashville. So we're really thrilled. You met Jeff and his Goldman team. The rest of the team is JP Morgan, Don Wilbon over there. I think he's been here before, as well as, let's see if I have the list in front of me. Local, First Horizon, that's FHN, so that's our local representation. Loop Capital is an African-American owned underwriting firm. Ramirez & Co. is Hispanic. Siebert Williams is both African-American and women-owned, and Academy Securities is a disabled veteran-owned firm. So we're a well-rounded, diverse team we've put together on that one. I think that's all I got. Calendar, I guess, is the next thing. We're here today, getting last approval, hopefully, and then we will start moving. So the 24th will be a due diligence call, which is where that entire underwriting team I just spoke about kind of gut checks us, make sure we're disclosing everything that we need to disclose, and make sure that they're comfortable taking our bonds and selling them. And then from there, we will post the preliminary official statement, which I think is in your packets. That's really the offering document to investors, tell them what they're buying and what the security is, what call provisions, everything is in that document. And then we will begin marketing the bonds. So we'll reach out investors. Obviously, it's 500 pages and they could read it all, but it's much more fun to just call us and ask us. So we schedule investor one-on-one calls and sit and walk them through the bonds before we sell them. And then we expect to price them the week of the 8th. I'd like to thank the state and their support. They've been wonderful partners, and they are going to price the week after us, and then they will close the day before us, and then we will hopefully close by the end of August. So, not anything new there, but if you have any questions.
First of all, congratulations on your slate of bond ratings. That's very impressive. And I also want to say thank you for the focus on the underwriting syndicate and focusing on underprivileged groups. That's always been very important to this board. One question that occurred to me as you were explaining the underwriting support, the hotel tax has just begun to be collected. At what point in time will we have a sense for whether or not our collections are meeting initial estimates? Does that take a quarter or 6 months, a year?
For every revenue that we collect, the existing hotel tax, it's 2 months in arrears. So we won't
2 months.
We won't actually see the cash, from July until usually September. The state gets it in August, so we'll know the numbers. But all bonds, these aren't special, only pay interest twice a year. So, and we're structuring this where we don't have to make our first payment until, keep me honest, what does it say there?
July 1, 24.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we've got some give.
And the other thing I'll say is, hotel taxes, there's a bit of seasonality.
Huh?
And to really know how you're doing, you got to go through all 4 seasons. So we will know on a monthly basis, and we'll be able to compare how, July of 23 compared to July of 22, but to know really how it's really more on an annual basis. And so that's the better information will come over time.
Understood. Thank you. No more questions.
Any other comments, questions? Eddie? Okay. Well, if there are no other comments or questions, we'll just go ahead and consider this proposal. We'll entertain a motion at this time. Thank you. We'll entertain a motion at this time and for this resolution, which approves authorizing $760 million aggregate principal amount of stadium and project revenue bonds of the Sports Authority of Metropolitan and Davidson County. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
There are 2 resolutions. Are you all taking action on?
Yes, they're going to take the resolutions separately. And I also will say we have basically our whole board here, but this is a meeting of the Finance Committee. So if it seems like they're not being very vocal, we just have 5 members on the committee who are able to vote.
Okay.
We'll go on with the second one.
Okay, and then we'll entertain the motion to approve the resolution or issuance of not to exceed $760 million in aggregate principal amount for the stadium project bonds.
Excuse me, Chair. We're going to move to the next resolution.
You want to go to the next one?
Yes, this is agenda item number 8, the second resolution. Let me see that.
Okay, then that number 8 on the agenda is the consideration or approval of resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of stadium project revenue bonds of the Sports Authority of Nashville and Davidson County, approving the execution and delivery of trust indentures relating to said bonds and authorizing the deposit of certain authority funds in the account established under the indentures, approving the execution and delivery of bonds purchase agreement construction funds, trust agreement, and personal license sales for the administration agreement relating to bonds and or the stadium project authorizing credit. This is facility to ensure payment of the bonds portion thereof when due, and debt service reserve funds credit facilities to funds debt service reserve funds for certain of the bond, authorizing permitted investment of the authority in connection with the funds related to the stadium project, authorizing the preparation and distribution of offering and disclosure documents in connection with the sale and issuance of the bonds, authorizing the defiance. No, am I saying that right? Defense of certain outstanding bonds of the authority issued to fund or refund improvements in the existing stadium, and authorizing the application and disposition of certain funds of the authority. We have the final resolution in the bonds that the committee is asked to approve, and I'll ask Jeff Olam to walk us through the document as well.
And I'm sorry, I asked my partner Lillian Blackshear if we could shorten that caption, and she refused. I want to be very thorough. And just a little explanation. You got two resolutions in front of you. You've already approved the one. For reasons that are hard to explain, Tennessee law requires you to adopt a really short initial resolution that just says bonds, how we're paying them, and then that goes in the newspaper. So this committee has approved that. Now you're to sort of the full-blown bond resolution. And I would sort of start by summing it up to say it authorizes what the finance director described by way of a finance plan. The issuance of up to $760 million of bonds in 4 series, payable from the sources that she talked about, and then approving the 5 or 6 documents that make all that happen. So that's big picture of the resolution in front of you. We're happy to, Lillian and I can walk you through sort of section by section if you want. We can go exhibit by exhibit if you want. We can just answer any questions you've got. As Director Flannery said, this is sort of the deal that's been contemplated all along, and so we're on the next step.
Okay. Any questions or comments before we move on with that? Okay. I'll entertain a motion then to approve the resolution of the foresaid statements that I made. And I'll entertain the motion.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you. Then, this concludes our agenda for the day. We went through a lot, and we will take up a lot of this again in the formal board meeting, which will follow at 10:30. So this concludes our agenda. The committee recommendations will go to the full board at 10:30. I'd like to thank the members of the board, the Sports Authority, Metro Legal and Finance, and the facility team representatives for your input today. Are there any final questions or comments before we adjourn?
I want to say we just got the note, and usually there's coffee and refreshments in the back of this room, but those are now in the cafeteria, and it says refreshments. So we have plenty of time if you want to get refreshed.
Yeah. All right. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All right. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.